We're basically helping enterprises solve two problems. People had to start small and then grow and grow expertise. There wouldn't be a Meta platform without Facebook having invested, tens and tens of billions into this platform.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Tech Times exclusive interview. Today, we're talking about VR, and who better to talk to about VR than the Managing Director for VRDIRECT, Rolf Illenberger. Rolf, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's just jump straight into the hot topic. So just tell us about VRDIRECT and really what problem have you set out to solve here?
Yeah, sure. So VRDIRECT is a software provider that is mainly supporting big enterprises in taking their first steps into what will become the metaverse or virtual reality, as this is the technology behind that. So with VRDIRECT, we're basically helping enterprises solve two problems. One is it's a tool to create virtual reality worlds very easily. You can think of PowerPoint for VR. And the second problem it solves, it allows you to distribute your content in a very flexible way onto many different metaverse ecosystems, like the Meta Quest 2 or Pico Neo 3 headsets or HTC Vive headsets. So really, it's a creation tool as well as a distribution platform, mainly for B2B content in the metaverse.
Okay, so this is a time, I think, where moving into companies and everyone should be really considering how to navigate the metaverse and how to use it. And so other than that, how are you trying to improve how normal people like myself view VR?
Well, I think it's a combination of different factors. On the one hand, you have the hardware, and my guess is we will see a tremendous improvement in hardware over the next 12 months. If you look at the investment that's being invested into this technology, it's huge. It's basically every big tech company out there investing billions in this technology. So we will see huge improvements in terms of hardware. I'm talking about performance. I'm talking about field of view. I'm talking about form factor. So my guess is that in the next 12 months, the VR headsets will be much smaller, much lighter, much better performance, and will almost replicate the real view experience in terms of resolution and in terms of colors and field of view. So that's the one factor, it's the hardware. The second one, it's the content, the basically what kind of content can you experience. And we, as well as many other players out there, are constantly providing new content that can be consumed in this metaverse ecosystems. In our case, we are enabling content creators out there, most of them being corporate people from the corporate world, enterprises, but we of course also have other content creators and agencies using our platform, and they use our technology in order to create content that they imagine, right? So we're constantly providing new content for this metaverse world, and ultimately the combination of that will be a really feasible hardware together with an attractive content lineup, and this will create a situation that this technology is worthwhile spending time and spending money on.
Okay. So I read that Mark Zuckerberg has pitched this insane idea of maybe Meta taking 50% of transactions in the metaverse, and I feel VRDIRECT is maybe going to be one of the leaders in maybe liberating, let's say, the metaverse from this
democratizing, exactly.
Democratizing, okay. And
yes.
So if I may ask, so what are your plans for taking over the metaverse?
Well, I think we got to take a bit more of a differentiated look at what's going on here. So let me maybe sort out that a little bit.
Yeah, please.
The 50% tax that everyone's talking about is actually made up of two different rev shares that we have to look and assess separately. So the one part is a 30% platform share that Meta will take basically on any transaction that people will do on the Meta platform. So that's a 30% tax, if you want, or rev share on every dollar spent on the Meta platform. This is something that's pretty much in line with other ecosystems rev shares. Think, for instance, on the rev share that Apple is taking on the iOS platform. It's exactly the same. It's also 30%. I'll come back to that in a minute. The second part of this equation is an additional 25% rev share on the remaining 70% of transaction value that users of the social VR app Horizon, which is one specific app that Meta provides for people to create virtual worlds for socializing, gaming, concerts, meeting friends, whatever. So it's the world where Meta wants you to spend your social or also your business time in. So Meta is asking for another 25% of the remaining 70% on every transaction value. And the 25% on 70 equals 17.5. And the 17.5 together with the 30% makes up this 47.5%, which is the 50% that everyone is talking about. Now, if you look at these two rev shares and put them in perspective into what competition is asking, one has to say that this is pretty much in line with what competition is asking for. If you look at the platform share, the 30%, it's exactly what Apple is asking for in the iOS world. If we look at the 25% in the social VR app Horizon, it's a pretty similar stake to, for instance, what Rec Room is asking. Rec Room is an alternative social VR app, which is also asking for 30% on every transaction in their app. And if you even compare it to Roblox, which is probably the market leader when it comes to social VR apps, they are even asking for a whooping 70% rev share. So the content creator, the person who's going to sell virtual items within the Roblox platform, is asked to give away 70% of the revenue. That's according to Roblox's own economics that they publish. So both rev shares, the 30% on the platform, as well as the 25% within the social VR, are somewhat in line with what the competition is asking. That's also why the CTO of Meta Boss on Twitter was noting that the 25% within Roblox is a rather competitive. He's right on that, because the 25 compared to other social VR apps is in fact fairly competitive. Now that Meta is both the provider of the platform as well as the provider of the app, it sums up to this 50%. Ultimately, one also has to accept the fact that Meta is on the one hand providing the platform, meaning investing in the platform. And I think everyone knows and agrees that Meta or Facebook before has invested billions into this technology. There wouldn't be a Meta platform without Facebook having invested, tens and tens of billions into this platform and keep maintaining and improving it. If you look at the deficits of Meta, it's 10 billion on the last accounting, so it's huge. Same with the social VR app. I mean, Meta is constantly improving the Horizon app. I think the fair discussion that's worthwhile having is a 30% rev share for a platform operator a fair share? But you can argue that you can also have this discussion with Apple and iOS. In the smartphone world, it's basically a duopoly. It's Apple with iOS and Google with Android. So Apple can ask for a 30% rev share because we all know that Apple has, if you look at some target segments, almost a monopoly because people want to use iPhone, right? It's so Apple can ask for 30% because people and content creators don't have an alternative to publish their app to a wider audience. So I think we as a public, also we as an industry, we should much rather think about, are there alternative ecosystems to Meta's ecosystem that are equally attractive for content creators and for users alike, that not everyone has to use Meta, and that are probably not asking for a 30% rev share of using the platform. And that's to me like the more critical question. Are we already at the point that Meta has gained such a dominant market position that they can ask for 30% platform share because they are already somewhat the monopolistic player in that technology? Or is there a chance that Pico with their Neo 3, HTC with the Vive setup, maybe Microsoft with their device, maybe Apple with their device, although my guess would be that Apple is asking for the 30% rev share that they ask on the iPhone as well on their XR devices. But we need to have competition of ecosystems in order not to have one ecosystem asking for a somewhat monopolistic platform share. So that's my assessment of that overall thing. Ultimately, it's legit from Meta to start monetizing on the technology and the investments they have done in the past. How high the rev share is that they're asking for is a matter of, is there a competition? Is there a competing ecosystem that would ask for lower rev shares? So you would have a fair competition between ecosystems that are equally attractive for users and content creators.
Okay, so how is VRdirect going to make
what we are trying to bring to the table, if you want, in terms of this whole thing, is we're trying to provide a solution for content creators to get their content onto different ecosystems easily. So you don't have to worry about ecosystems being completely incompatible to each other. Right now, the problem is there's the Meta ecosystem with the Meta Quest 2 as the device, and there's the Pico ecosystem with the Pico Neo 3 and the new Pico Neo 3 Link, which is the new consumer device from Pico. There's the HTC Vive ecosystem. Then we're going to see a Microsoft ecosystem. We're going to see the Apple ecosystem being extended to XR devices. So we have all of these different ecosystems, let's call them Metaverse ecosystems, but they're highly incompatible. So if you're a content creator today, and you want to make sure that your content, whatever that is, a training content, and a game or whatever, is available on different ecosystems, it's really tricky for you because you have to develop for each and every ecosystem individually. And we're trying to provide a solution to that, kind of mitigating this incompatibility of the different ecosystems, and thereby allowing the content creators using our platform to publish their content to different ecosystems without the need of individual adjustments or adoptions for specific hardware systems or ecosystems.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's obviously, it's going to be a huge problem in the future. How do we maneuver throughout all these different places? So right. Let's shift to the more corporate side. I understand you've been collaborating and working with big companies, Nestle, Porsche, things like that. So what is it that VRdirect gives to these very well-established brands?
Well, the Metaverse topic I think it's pretty clear at this point in time that the metaverse is going to become a huge thing, right? It's not going to go away. The amount of investment pouring into this technology is huge. It's the next big thing, what everyone likes to quote about it. So I think every enterprise, every corporate around the globe needs to find an answer. What does that mean for me? I'm an automotive manufacturer. What does the metaverse mean for me? I'm an industrial company. What does the metaverse for me? And probably not even on an enterprise level, but even on the level of individual executives. I'm an HR executive. What's the new opportunity for me? I'm a training responsible person. What, so on and so forth. So my hypothesis is that by the end of this year, every a reasonable executive at a bigger enterprise has to come up with an idea what the metaverse means for him or for her. This can well be, it's not yet relevant for me. I'll review it in a year from now, but you have to form an opinion about that. And then it comes to a point where these big organizations understand that they not have one application, one VR metaverse application, but they might have tens of dozens or even hundreds of thousands of VR metaverse applications across their organization. So they want to make sure that, the one department is not using the one tool, the other department is using some other tool, and the third one is using whatever. And you end up with a situation where you have various different VR metaverse projects, no compatibility, no common understanding, no common rules, no expertise. You cannot exchange experiences and all of that. So these big organizations are at a point where they understand that the metaverse is highly relevant for them. They typically already have departments that want to use the technology, people that are looking for solutions that enable them to use the technology. But now they want to make sure that they use a holistic software solution across the entire organization. And ideally, a tool that is, first of all, very simple to use. Again, think of PowerPoint for VR. And second of all, is very compatible or can be connected to a number of metaverse ecosystems. So they can be future-proof with the content they create. There might be the Microsoft ecosystem being released in a week from now or in 6 months from now. No one knows, and the Apple device might be released this year, next year, but it's certainly going to come. And they want to be sure that when they start creating content, they start building up expertise, they can be on the safe side that it will be compatible with future ecosystems. And that's what we provide them: a very easy tool to create content, someone that enables a tool that enables the everyday user in one of these enterprises, and at the same time being very flexible in terms of distributing the content to a number of ecosystems, at least the most relevant ecosystems that are already there and are expected to be released, talking about Microsoft and Apple. So that's really how we help enterprises take the first steps with VR and the metaverse.
Okay, all right, yeah, thank you. So yeah, what can we expect to see from VRDirect's in the let's say foreseeable future?
Yeah, we have big plans ahead. We are just preparing for a big software update that we are planning to release at the AWE in the Bay Area in summer. This software update will include, many small updates in terms of enterprise features, collaboration tools, tools to increase the security on specific content, but will also allow to import additional content types like 3D models, like volumetric content. So we're really trying to go with the technology and always offer the most advanced platform and tool for the everyday user to create content. And second, we're just releasing what we call the VRdirect Web Studio, which is a web-based version of our software, which obviously makes it much easier for content creators to get started. And we combine that with a free license, meaning if you're a content creator and you just want to try, take your first steps into VR content creation, you can do so using VRdirect, and you can do so for free. And then once you're getting more advanced and more complex with your projects, we will provide you with our licenses, but you can start entirely for free.
Oh wow, that's great news for up and comers. People that want to, because the metaverse has been, especially in the tech line of work, I think as of late, probably 30 to 40% of the people I talk to are somehow related to the metaverse. So it seems like this ecosystem is growing at an incredible rate, even if it's not yet fully utilized by most people. Companies like yourself are really kind of the pioneering maybe something that will eventually be as normal as holding a cell phone.
Absolutely. I mean, the metaverse is the next technology era that's going to replace the smartphone era. I'm certainly not arguing that this is going to be next tomorrow or next year, but that's certainly the future. I mean, there's there need to be a lot of technology improvements on the way, in terms of hardware, in terms of network capabilities, in terms of content production. Across the board, we need to improve things. And what we're seeing today is really the beginning of this new technology era. So I think people have to understand that when they assess this technology, obviously what we see today in terms of VR hardware, what we see today in terms of VR content is just the beginning. It's like day one in this whole new era. So what I'm always telling our enterprise customers is to not take a final judge according to the hardware, content, software as of today, but much rather see the vision and the opportunity behind this technology and this idea, and get started today in order to be prepared when things improve. And then the development is going to be super fast. I mean, it's with this investment that we see these days, the development curve will be exponential, right? So we will have much better content, much better hardware in no time. And my guess is the companies, the enterprises that are getting ready today and prepare their organization, build up expertise, start testing content. You cannot expect to implement and integrate a new technology like VR or the metaverse and have the best results on the second day. That's probably not how it works. That's also not how the internet has started in the late 90s, right? People had to start small and then grow expertise and then build what has become the Web 2.0 world today, which is taken 20-25 years, but it's certainly something every big organization should start thinking about and should start defining a metaverse strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% that this is I like to equate it to any other really technology that has changed the world, but was maybe I'm sure in the beginning the first couple of let's go all the way back to the car. So the first few cars are rolling off the line. You're gonna have people saying, "Oh, those are dangerous." It's much safer to ride a horse, right?
Exactly.
But now no one rides a horse.
I mean, I'm from Germany, as people might guess. So I know the history of cars quite well, and it's exactly how you say. I mean, people had a lot of concerns and were hesitant towards the new technology, and it's with us for the last 100 plus years. But that's a normal thing, right? I mean, people have not worked with VR before. A lot of people don't have a firm understanding of what the technology can do and can't do and will be able to do. So there's a lot of uncertainty. And then, of course, there's this, this mix with Meta and Mark Zuckerberg, who's probably not, who has some bad PR here and there, which is not fair regarding the metaverse technology or the VR technology. It has nothing to do with the Meta corporation or with Mark Zuckerberg. It's just one aspect of the metaverse is Meta and Mark Zuckerberg, and Meta is by far not owning the metaverse. There's so many big tech companies pushing this technology that Meta is just a small part of that. But I think the whole, it's been driving the discussion and the idea of many people that the metaverse is, some shady place. But I think it's kind of understandable. People don't have their own experience yet. They don't understand it. They have lived their entire life up until today without the metaverse. So why should I need the metaverse? I mean, if we go back in time and remember that the smartphone era has started in 2007, 2008 with the first iPhone. That's not even 15 years, right? And if you imagine the use of the smartphone as it's ubiquitous today, everyone's using it all day long. That's probably a phenomena of the last 7-8 years, not longer than that, probably a decade. And it feels like mankind has had a smartphone forever. And it's going to be exactly the same with the metaverse and VR technologies. In 10 years from now, people will be looking back and be like, was there even a time without that technology, right? So I think that's a fairly understandable and a fairly normal process when it comes to new technologies. I think now it's about us and the entire industry to tell people more about the opportunities and the possibilities of the metaverse and the technologies to improve one's life, than just have this dystopic idea of people spending the entire day in some kind of a technology environment.
Yeah, you make a very good point. Yeah, the smartphone is still somewhat in its infancy, I would say. It's like you said, not even 10 years old, and I can't. It's amazing to think that we were able to survive without them. Now it's like
absolutely.
Like you actually had to call maybe an empty building looking for someone. Like it was so difficult. I don't know how we.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember times without cell phones at all. When I was a kid and a young teenager, there were no mobile phones at all, and we survived. We went to school, we met with friends without being able to call anyone, and guess what? We all grew old, right? But it's all that's all kind of somewhat a useless discussion. The technology is going to come, the technology is going to improve, and we will see the adoption of this technology where it really makes sense. And if we look at the enterprise world, if we look at, for instance, training, safety trainings is a super reasonable use case for virtual reality. Most of our enterprise customers have safety trainings or security trainings all over the organization. I'm mostly talking about internal, how to behave here, what to do if a fire breaks out, blah, blah, blah. Safety training, especially in Germany and Europe, you have safety trainings all over the place, right? And safety trainings, you can replicate them in VR. they are, create once, use them endless times. You have a safety training every Wednesday or every Thursday morning, whatever. That's a perfect use case for these new technologies, and enterprises will just start using it for that. And then people will get in touch with the technology, and it's going to be a very natural thing. I'm going to have my next safety training using a VR headset, and this person's gotta go home and be like, okay, I'll have a safety training in VR. It's totally fine. It worked. I'm happy with that. And gradually, it's gonna grow into our life. The idea of spending, the entire day in a VR headset is ridiculous, right? That's not what that's not what anyone is thinking of. There might be games, there might be social worlds, there might be people that spend hours in a virtual world, and it's fine if they want. But for most of us, we'll be using VR or metaverse technologies when it makes sense, for a training, for a social interaction, maybe for a game, maybe for an entertainment experience, maybe for a travel experience or something. But it's gonna improve our current life, not replace it, right? It's not just as the smartphone has improved our lives and not replace them.
Right. I would like to ask you one more question. This is more of an opinion thing.
Sure.
So, of course, we've dealt with a rather difficult last couple of years, especially in the business sector and things like that. So, a lot of people now, you read reports and you see surveys and things. A lot of people now are not only prefer, but demand, flexibility, working from home. Do you think that VR can maybe move in and kind of, while being separated, kind of bring everyone together at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the top use cases for VR, and we're seeing enterprises all over the globe using the technology exactly for that. You cannot turn back time. People understood that working from home works for a lot of environments, for a lot of jobs. There are jobs where it doesn't work. We're all aware of that. But for many people, working from home will be much more normal than it was before the pandemic. And there's, in terms of looking at it from a society perspective, if you can save on commuting 1 or 2 hours every day, that's a huge improvement for the lives of individuals, but also for us as a society. That can, we're not talking about the pollution, the cars in the traffic jam, human lifetime wasted in traffic jams. So it's a huge improvement if it works. But you need technology to enable that. We all got used to what we're doing now: video conferencing, video calls. I think has become standard. It seems like it almost replaced telephone calls in a business environment to some extent. And in some regard, virtual reality is the next phase of that. It's the next evolution of that. If you want to show your new employee around your factory, your site, use VR. You want to train your employees on a safety, as I just said, use VR. If you want to have a virtual meeting with people working together on a specific project, do that in VR. I think we got to be fair. VR is not the solution for everything. I'm totally not arguing that each and every meeting should be held in VR. There's no point in doing so. If you have the weekly stand-up with your team, you're good doing that in a video conference. There's no point in putting up a headset but if you want to show someone around, if you want to convey emotions, show an environment, have people move, have people interact, VR is a great technology. And all over the globe, enterprises are starting to explore the possibilities of VR for exactly these applications, and we will see an adoption of VR for these applications all over the board.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was very curious, because this is your thing. You are VR direct actually. So yeah, it was great to kind of get your insight and your opinion. But unfortunately, Rolf, we are out of time for this episode. But you are always welcome to come back anytime. This has been a great discussion, a learning experience for myself. So thank you very much.
That's great. Thank you very much for having me.